Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
There's talks that Universal might be interested in buying just DC Comics or all of Warner Brothers, that they could consolidate. And this is actually a very old rumor. This has been going back at least 2 years now. There's actually been speculation about, at least on the DC side of things, from allears.net talked about it.
We talked about it before because of Ethan Van Sciver. I know we mentioned it before in videos.
Ethan Van Sciver, who was a DC Comics artist who has a lot of friends still, I believe, at DC Comics, said that there were rumors that the DC portion of Warner could easily be sold off. And I think the speculation has always been Universal, because Universal is, the rival to Disney. Disney has Marvel. It would make sense for Universal to replace the Marvel characters in the theme parks with DC Comics characters. And also, they have a really good relationship with Warner anyway because of Harry Potter. So it might be that they just buy the whole thing.
If they got Warner, they get control of Harry Potter.
Yes. And then they would have complete uncontested control. There have been rumors before that they were interested. That was before Embracer Group came into it, but they were going to do like Lord of the Rings land and all stuff. And that was, Warner New Line Cinema. And with DC movies striking out at the box office hard, right? And DC Comics being a disaster, it is very possible because they have money. Universal, God knows they have a lot more money than Warner Brothers does at this point, that they could just consolidate. I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in Hollywood out of necessity if they're going to survive.
Well, DC definitely needs to do something.
DC needs to do something. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
This is coming from Screen Rant. Again, they got from Variety. I guess it was buried in that Jason Momoa article, but we
probably wouldn't even thought twice about it though, because we've talked about this before.
Come up,
we've heard this before.
This has been an ongoing rumor.
Yes.
I've heard.
This all years talked about something like this back like in 2021.
Yeah, that they were talking about, because they've got the Marvel, for those of you who don't know, Islands of Adventure and Universal, they have a Marvel section, and they've got this contract with Disney that was penned before Disney bought Marvel Comics. And they've got the comic book versions of those characters, but it has to piss Disney off that they're seeing like, oh, look, they're having lunch with Captain America and Spider-Man in a rival theme park. And from Universal's point of view, they're probably like, damn, you're damaging these brands. And
that could be. And the thing is, though, for Universal, the reason they can do it in Orlando is because they have and over in California, they can put Marvel characters in, is because it's like, on the east side of the Mississippi or whatever, they're allowed to use it at Universal, not over there.
Yeah.
But then they still would have that in their contract. They're allowed to use the Marvel characters, though.
Well, because there was a panic at Marvel when these deals were made. And this is when Marvel started basically selling off the rights to everything to anybody who had money. And they were like, oh my God, okay, so so-and-so wants to make a movie about the Fantastic Four. Fine, you can have it. Oh, so somebody else wants to do one about Ghost Rider. Cool, you can have that. Oh, Sony wants Spider-Man. Yeah, cool, just do it because we need money. And that's what happened with Universal. Universal wants to throw money ass to get Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and the X-Men in the theme parks. Just take it. And then a few years later, along comes Disney, buys the whole thing. But the contract, as I understand it, is ironclad, and Disney would have to buy them out. Now, what would be interesting is if they put a rider, because they've done this before, like with Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit, where they put a rider in a contract for another deal. I think it was ABC Sports or
yeah,
something.
It was something sports. Yeah,
it was something sports related. They put a rider in with that they got Oswald the Lucky Rabbit from Universal.
He gave up. I guess Iger gave up some stuff to get that back. Yeah.
What would be really interesting is, since they're sitting down with Universal to talk about Hulu, is if they said, hey, can we get out of this deal and get those Marvel characters out of your parks, or something? Because Universal's point of view, they're like, why are we promoting our competition's product?
Because they're popular and people go to see them at their parks. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the whole story about, possibly Universal taking over DC characters and getting DC has been going on for a while. DC has been in decline for a while.
Yeah. Now I've heard rumors before that Universal was a potential buyer of DC Comics. Warner Brothers bought DC Comics back in the late 60s. And my understanding was that Universal actually was a contender, but they did not have the money they needed to pony up back then because comics were popular, you know? And then, you know, that's when Warner Brothers turned around and they made the Superman movie 10 years later, 10, 12 years later, whatever it was. And, you know, they just started kind of, you know, using the comic books as a springboard for, you know, cartoons and movies. But yeah, I mean, that would be it's damaged goods at this point, but that would be the best home for them probably would be with Universal, with Comcast, you know. But Van Sciver's like, yeah, he thinks that DC at least, whether it's, you know, the comics or the whole damn thing, is going to be up for sale because they're basically just keeping it on life support.
Basically. And then their new movies haven't done anything. And then they're going to reboot it with James Gunn, who I still think is a bad choice. I
think he's a terrible choice. So here's a summary. Warner Brothers employees believe that the company may be sold to a rival studio, with Universal being the most likely candidate. Again, that makes sense. They would get DC superheroes. They could kick the Marvel characters out.
Even All Ears said this like 2 years ago. I know we've mentioned it before too. Like, you know, we thought that's what they might do.
Yeah.
But the sale thing is not like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's a problem. I'm like, not really. People have been saying this for a while.
Warner Brothers has been a major player in Hollywood for nearly a century and is one of the big 5 major studios. Yes. Sale to Universal would have significant impact on Warner Brothers products, including HBO and DC Comics properties, potentially compromising popular shows and giving another studio control. It'd be interesting, though, if they bought Warner, because they would have access to like Game of Thrones. They could do like, you know, Game of Thrones land.
They have Barbie.
But
only with Mattel. Mattel's their own theme park.
Yeah, but
they could do it on Universal Orlando because it wouldn't interfere because the Barbie Mattel park's what, in Vegas or somewhere out that way?
It's out in Southwest
out that
somewhere.
way.
That was like New Mexico.
Or maybe it is New Mexico. I don't know. It's out that way somewhere.
Yeah, and they could put like the movie, or it could just be the movie version of Barbie, and they're supposedly going to make sequels or something. Just be like, we'll put Barbie Land in real life. In the theme parks.
The Mojo Dojo Casa House. You know, I just want to point out that if they had sold those, they would have sold a shit ton of those. I'm just pointing that out. Mattel.
They're trickling dolls. I think they're waiting to see how the movie did because it seems like they're trickling dolls out now from the movie and they didn't have them ready when the movie was out.
They had some of them ready and they sold out immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So some Warner Brothers employees reportedly believe the company could be sold to a rival studio. It's one of the longest running studios, but it basically was. Warner Brothers was sold to AT&T and then it got bundled up with Discovery. Mm-hmm. And then so Universal. So if you want to talk about it from a streaming perspective too, beyond the theme park, beyond the, you know, Harry Potter and DC Comics, but like they would be able to probably merge HBO Max and Peacock into one big.
How much is it? Did they sell Warner? AT&T sell you know these things for?
I think they just spun. I'm trying to remember. I think they just spun it off. They basically merged it with Discovery and spun it off into its own company.
Right, but I mean, they got when AT&T got it. How much did they pay for it?
I don't remember.
I was trying to think if it's feasible. I mean, it's probably feasible. It'd just be interesting to me because this what they might get in Hulu might be a big hunk of what they need you know, to buy, if it's true.
Warner Brothers is at risk of being bought by a rival. Well, they've only had 1 or 2 big hits. So, you know, in a report primarily on Aquaman 2, that's why I missed it. In the state of DC Studios, the outlet notes that some Warner Brothers employees not only believe that another company will buy the legacy studio within 2 years, but Universal is the most likely candidate.
Yeah, again, which, you know, they've been saying. For a while now.
Years. And it makes total sense. You get Harry Potter and you get DC Comics characters and you get Game of Thrones and you might be able to work something out with Embrace because Embracer doesn't know what the hell it's doing.
Well, they have more areas of Epic Universe they haven't assigned IP to that they have made public.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they said that this is not unheard of. They would get, you know, The Last of Us. And they did The Last of Us house
at Halloween Horror Nights. Yes.
So Universal already has a good relationship.
They've been, yeah.
Ever since Harry Potter. So it's very likely. And the thing is, they might actually do better by DC Comics at least, you know, than Warner Brothers has been doing. You know, because I mean, look at some of their animated movies that have been coming out.
Mm-hmm. They've been doing good. They've been doing pretty well over there.
So,
yeah.
I think the rumor is valid. I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in Hollywood, and don't be surprised if it happens. But it's been. I mean, this is. I don't know why everybody's so shocked. This has been floating around for years.
I know, and I remember we talked about it last year because you had seen that article about EVS, and we had talked about it then, and we had mentioned how we had heard this for a while before too. That's why I'm like, everybody's like, "Oh, did you see this? I'm surprised." I'm like.
You must be new.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, this was something people have been saying for a while now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.